Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm actually pausing my listening of a really cool record that I just discovered by a band called Kirki. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Khirki. Just discovered them on Heavy Blog is Heavy. I think they're from Greece. Yeah, they're from Athens, Greece. So their title of their record, I can't pronounce it to you, but anyway, it's the latest one from like 2021 or something like that. Really, really good stuff, and I highly recommend it. But that's not the reason why I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to you about a show that I recently went to. It's one that I went to not last week, but the week prior. I believe that would have been February 15th, um, at Foufounes Electrique, on the cabaret side, not the main side of the stage. And this show was a three band bill, with the headliner being Thantifaxath, the experimental, jazzy, progressive black metal outfit from Toronto. And they were joined on stage by Knoll, who are a really, really awesome kind of experimental grindcore band from Tennessee. And they were also joined by Typeface, who are my friends, a local grindcore band from here in Montreal. And this show was fucking incredible. Like, from the moment the shit started with the Typeface set, I knew that I was in for something amazing for this show. So, with starting off with Typeface, I mean, again, I'm personally friends with all the people in this band. Their drummer Tyler actually plays guitar in my band Rat Piss. So yeah, we have like a pretty personal connection there. We've played shows. I've played shows with Typeface numerous times at this point. I've seen them live more times than I can count, and they haven't been a band for super super long, but they've been really steadily grinding at it. Not to use a pun there, but they're awesome. They bring so much energy to the stage. It's just unbelievable. Every time I watch them, I think to myself that, like, within the context of grindcore bands here in Montreal, these guys are gonna go far. Like, they need to go far. Tyler's drumming, unbelievable. He's just got a ferocious speed that I could never even dream of matching. And the riffs from Tristan are amazing. Will has the best stage presence of any bassist I know in the local scene. And Grace, their vocals are just phenomenal. Like, they're amazing fronting this band. And lyrically, I can't really speak to it too much. There's a degree of, like, environmental kind of stuff, kind of messaging going on in their lyrics, but I'm sure it's not all about that. Just a lot of it seems to be inspired by just the collapse of the entire world that we're living through, and getting to witness that live is always a treat. So after them, it was Knoll, and Knoll is a band that I know of, but am not super familiar with. I've only listened to them like once or twice, and like it didn't really jump out at me. They're one of these like dissonant grindcore bands that I honestly sometimes have a hard time listening to because I'm just not sure how to get into it. Um, but I think the thing I realized with this show is that they're one of these bands where I might not listen and might not enjoy listening to it on my own time, but seeing it performed live is a whole other story. And that is something that I do really love. The frontman of this band, I don't know any of their names, so I can't speak to that. But he had just like this this way of capturing the audience's attention. He had this gigantic placard, this like weird platform thing that had like a ton of noise gadgets on it, including like, these wires that he was like rubbing up and down and like tossing his mic into it and just making all kinds of weird fucking sounds. It was so cool. And on top of that, he really captivated the audience just through like his stage presence, just kind of acting like some kind of, I don't know, just like the movements of his body were like really strange, just went perfectly with the music. And he also had like a huge tongue. His tongue just comes out, and it was kind of unsettling to see, and it really played into the music itself. Um, as for the music, it was just, mean, dissonant. grindcore that it seems like its main goal is just to like be abrasive, there's no real melody to speak of. Like there's obviously melody, but it's not the prime focus of the riffs that are going on. It seems more like they're just trying to create an ambient wall of noise that just completely suffocates and drowns you in the most like oppressive sounding shit that you've ever heard. And yeah, it's quite a thing to behold live. Listening to it on the record, again, not super into it, but watching that live and feeling the vibrations of the drums and the amps in your sternum, that's definitely something that makes them worth seeing live. And after that, it was Thantifaxath. And Thantifaxath I've seen before. They were actually one of the first bands that I ever saw when I first moved here to Montreal. Even though they're from Toronto, I caught them live with Phobocosm, who are from here. And that was a pretty cool show. I saw them at Catacombs back before that venue kicked the bucket. Rest in peace, Catacombs. And I was really enthralled and enamored by their performance there. This time around, these three people got up on stage to do a sound check, and they played some like classic rock, classic pop songs just for their soundtrack, and like they were just like dressed like normal people, and I thought for sure that that was the people that were like, their roadies on tour, the people who were doing sound for them, maybe their guitar tech or something like that. But no, they left stage and they came back and they were just wearing their cloaks, and I thought that was a little bit odd because like think the whole thing with this band was that they have these they're anonymous, like nobody knows their names. They wear these cloaks to obscure their identities, and I mean this was a packed room. Everyone saw them, and they were also manning the merch stand after the show. So I guess maybe that aspect of the band's image isn't really a thing anymore, or maybe it was at one point, and they just decided to stop doing it. Or maybe it's just the fact that because Toronto and Montreal are so close, there's probably a bunch of people in the scene here who know who those guys are personally, and maybe they just figured, fuck it, we don't need to be clandestine about this. But I don't know. I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is the fact that their performance was fucking incredible. Um, Thantifaxath are one of these bands where they take the foundation of black metal and all the things that have been built upon it over the years, ever since its inception back in the 80s and then into the 90s, and they totally flip it on its head and try to reinvent it. I feel like they're maybe inspired by some other groups, like maybe Deathspell Omega, possibly Portal as well. I'm not sure. Portal, of course, I know is more like in the death metal kind of camp, but there's definitely black metal elements in their music too. Um, but yeah, they just have like these crazy time signatures and like super jazzy experimental guitar playing that is very abrasive and ugly and dissonant and disgusting. But they do that without falling into the trap of just making dissonant music for the sake of being dissonant. Like, Thantifaxath songs are somehow catchy, despite doing everything in their power to not be catchy. I find that their guitar passages are super memorable, and I think that that really speaks to their abilities as musicians. And watching that shit being performed live just takes it to another level, because you hear it on the record and you hear how crazy it is, and then you watch them reproduce it flawlessly in a live setting, and it is amazing. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching them again. I really love the fact that they have these songs where in the span of a single measure it will like start here at a certain tempo, and then it picks up pace to another tempo, and then it comes back down again to the original tempo, all within the same bar, and they can perform that perfectly live, which is unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen a band who can like pull something like that off with the intricacies of the compositions that they've created. So yeah, I had an amazing time watching all three of these bands. It was the first big show that I had been to in quite some time, and it really reinvigorated my love for going to bigger shows with like name recognition bands, because honestly it's been a long time since I've been to one of those. At least one where it was of a band who I'm really familiar with and who I have already seen live before. So yeah, it's been a dry spell of going to these bigger shows, and this was the first one in a while, and I cannot wait to go to the next one. Speaking of which, in a time since I saw them and making this video, I also went to Quebec City to see Author and Punisher and another band called Mourn, and then another band called Glassing. And I will make another video about that show very soon. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you ever get a chance to see Thantifaxath, Knoll, or Typeface live, fucking do it. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching. Peace out.